Alien kidnaps human's girlfriend, lives to regret it. HFY, the evening sky had already darkened when Tae Kim pushed open the door to his apartment. After 14 hours at the quantum physics lab, all he wanted was to share dinner with Gia and tell her about the breakthrough his team had made. The apartment was unusually quiet. "Gia?" Tae called out, dropping his keys on the counter. No answer. He walked through the living room and noticed the chair lying on its side. Strange. Gia was. Always neat. Her research tablet sat on the coffee table, still running complex calculations, the screen's glow illuminating what looked like a struggle. Tae's heart began to pound. "Gia!" he shouted, rushing to check the bedroom and bathroom. Nothing. Back in the living room, something caught his eye. Near the window, a fine metallic dust sparkled on the floor. Tae pulled out his pocket flashlight and shined it on the substance. It glowed with an unnatural blue tint, definitely not ordinary dust. With his background in military special operations, Tae knew immediately this was no regular break-in. He pulled out his phone and checked their apartment security feed. At 7:42 p.m. there was a blinding flash of light, and then nothing. The camera had stopped recording. 3 minutes of footage missing. Tae rewound and watched again in slow motion. Just before the flash, a tall shadow moved across the room. Too tall, too thin to be human. Tae called the police, who arrived 30 minutes later. The officers walked around the apartment, taking notes with obvious skepticism. "So you're saying your girlfriend was abducted?" Officer Park asked, not even trying to hide his disbelief. "Look at this," Tae said, showing him the glowing dust. "This isn't from Earth, and the security footage could be a camera malfunction." Officer Park interrupted. "Most likely she just left. Maybe you two had a fight you're not telling us about." Tae clenched his jaw. "Check the substance. It's not normal." The officers exchanged looks. "We'll file a missing persons report," Officer Park said, clearly humoring him. "Call us if she contacts you." After they left, Tae collected samples of the dust in a plastic bag. He knew exactly who to call. Colonel Han, his former commanding officer, who'd always believed there was more to the universe than most people knew. The colonel arrived before midnight. He examined the dust under a portable microscope he'd brought along. "Tae," he said gravely, "this contains elements not on our periodic table. Whatever took Gia isn't from here." "I knew it," Tae whispered. "But why her? Why Gia?" Colonel Han looked at Gia's research tablet. "She's working on molecular computing, right? Breakthrough stuff?" "Yes. We just had a major advancement today. Gia figured out how to create quantum entanglement between organic and synthetic materials." Tae paused, the realization hitting him. "You think they took her because of her research?" The colonel nodded slowly. "If someone or something out there is monitoring our scientific progress, her work might have set off alarms. It's a giant leap forward." Tae paced the room, military training kicking in. "I need to find her. How do I track something that isn't even from this planet?" "The dust is your first clue," Colonel Han said, "and I might be able to help with the rest. Since I retired, I've been working with a small government team tracking unusual atmospheric disturbances. We've detected several unexplained energy signatures in the past month." He pulled out his tablet and showed Tae a map with several red dots scattered across remote areas. The most recent was just 3 hours ago, around the time Gia disappeared. Tae studied the map. "Can you tell where they're coming from or where they're going?" "Not exactly, but we can track the energy signature. And if what took Gia is using similar technology to travel." The colonel left the sentence hanging. "Then we can follow it," Tae finished, already gathering supplies. His military gear was still in the closet: tactical clothing, night vision goggles, his old combat knife. He wasn't supposed to have kept any of it, but right now he was grateful for his foresight. "What's your plan?" Colonel Han asked, watching Tae prepare with practiced efficiency. "First, I need more information. I'll head to the nearest disturbance site and look for evidence. If these things have been coming and going, they might have left something behind." The colonel looked concerned. "You can't just go charging after aliens, Tae. We don't know what we're dealing with." Tae checked the magazine in his emergency pistol, another item he wasn't supposed to have kept. "They took Gia," he said simply. "I'm not waiting for whoever took her to decide her fate. I was trained to operate in unknown territory against superior forces. This is no different. Except we're talking about technology potentially centuries beyond ours. Every technology has weaknesses, Tay replied, zipping up his bag. And they made one critical mistake. What's that? Tay's eyes hardened. They took someone I love, and they have no idea what humans are capable of when protecting the people they care about. By dawn, Tay was headed toward the closest disturbance site, a remote area in the mountains. Colonel Han's connections had secured him transportation and equipment. As the helicopter flew over dense forest, Tay kept thinking about Gia. Her smile, her brilliant mind, her laugh. Whoever or whatever had taken her was about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity. The pilot pointed ahead. There's your drop zone. Good luck finding whatever you're looking for. Tay nodded grimly. I'm not looking for something, I'm hunting someone. And when I find them, they're going to regret ever coming to Earth. Alien kidnaps human's girlfriend, lives to regret it. Via the helicopter dropped Ty at the edge of a dense forest where Colonel Han's team had detected the energy signature. Armed with specialized equipment and his military training, Tay began his search as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees. I'll find you, Gia, he whispered, adjusting the scanner the Colonel had given him. The device was calibrated to detect the same unusual energy readings found in his apartment. Tay moved through the forest with practiced silence, the skills from his Special Forces days returning naturally. 6 hours into his search, the scanner began to beep faintly. The signal grew stronger as he approached a small clearing ahead. What he found stopped him in his tracks. Trees had been flattened in a perfect circle about 30 feet across. At the center lay a depression in the earth, as if something heavy had landed there. The soil glittered with the same metallic dust he'd found in his apartment. They were here, Tay said to himself, crouching to examine the ground. The scanner was going wild now. He circled the site methodically, looking for anything unusual. Near the edge of the clearing, partially hidden by fallen trees, he spotted something reflecting sunlight. Moving closer, Tay realized it was metal, not earth metal, but something with an iridescent quality that shifted colors as he approached. It was part of a small craft, mostly buried under soil and debris. Tay carefully cleared away the covering, revealing what appeared to be a vehicle roughly the size of a small car, but with no wheels. Its surface was seamless, except for what looked like a damaged section on one side. This isn't human technology, Tay muttered, running his hand over the smooth surface. The metal felt warm to the touch, almost alive. Suddenly the craft hummed. A section of the surface rippled and parted like water, revealing a dark opening. Tay backed away, drawing his weapon. A figure emerged from the opening, tall and thin with grayish skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Its large, dark eyes blinked rapidly in the sunlight. Tay kept his weapon trained on the being. "Don't move," he ordered, surprised when the creature seemed to understand, freezing in place. "You speak my language?" Tay asked, confused. The being touched a small device at its throat. "Universal translator," it said in a voice that sounded almost mechanical. "We study many Earth languages. Who are you? What are you doing here?" Tay demanded, not lowering his weapon. "I am Dal," the creature replied. "Scout for the mock observation fleet. My craft malfunctioned during atmospheric entry." "The mock? You've been watching us?" Dal blinked those large eyes. "For many cycles. Earth is research subject." Tay stepped closer, anger building inside him. "Did you take a woman last night? A human female from the city?" The alien tilted its head. "Not my mission. But yes, collection team took human scientist. Special subject." "Her name is Gia," Tay said through gritted teeth. "Where did they take her?" "To main vessel, beyond your moon." Dal gestured toward the sky. "For knowledge extraction." Tay felt cold fear grip his heart. Knowledge extraction. What does that mean? "Study brain patterns, learn human science achievements." The alien seemed confused by Tay's reaction. "Standard procedure for species approaching technological thresholds." "And after this, extraction," Dal hesitated. "Subject is usually not." Returned. Tay moved so quickly that Dal had no time to react. He pressed the alien against the craft, his forearm against its slender neck. "You're going to help me get her back." "Impossible," Dal wheezed. "Main vessel heavily guarded. No human has technology to reach it." Tay nodded toward the damaged craft. "But you do. Can you repair this?" "With proper tools, yes. But why would I help?" Tay released some pressure from the alien's throat. "Because I'm your only chance of survival on this planet. And because if you don't, I'll make sure your people understand exactly how dangerous humans can be when someone they love is threatened." Something like fear flickered in Dal's large eyes. "You would pursue advanced civilization alone? For one human?" "Without hesitation," Tay replied. For several long moments, Dal studied Tay's face. "Fascinating. Mock scientists theorize about human attachment behaviors but never observe directly." The alien nodded slowly. "I will help, but warning, main vessel has thousands of mock guards, scientists. You are one human." "One human is all it takes when the stakes are high enough," Tay said, finally lowering his weapon. "What do you need for repairs?" Over the next 2 days, Tay gathered materials Dal requested. Some common items like water and metal, others more specific that required Colonel Han's help to acquire. The Colonel was skeptical, but supported Tay's plan, recognizing the global implications of making first contact, even hostile contact, with an advanced civilization. Dal worked tirelessly on the craft, explaining aspects of mock technology while Tay listened carefully, looking for weaknesses he could exploit. "Why did you take Gia specifically?" Tay asked as they worked side by side on the 3rd day. "There are many scientists on Earth." Dal's long fingers manipulated tiny components Tay couldn't begin to understand. Her research in molecular computing, she discovered bridge between biological and digital systems. Dangerous knowledge. Dangerous how? Mock technology functions on similar principles. If humans develop further, could eventually challenge mock technological dominance. Dal connected 2 components, causing the craft to hum louder. Mock policy. Monitor developing species, remove threats before they mature. Tay absorbed this information silently, understanding the implications. Earth wasn't just being observed, it was being assessed as a potential threat. On the 4th day, Dal announced, the craft was operational, basic functions restored, can reach main vessel but weapons systems offline. "I don't need weapons," Tay said, checking his pack one last time. "I just need to get on board." Dal looked uncertain. "What is your plan once there?" "Find Gia." "Get her out." Tay's expression was determined. "And make sure your people never take someone from Earth again. You cannot fight entire vessel of mock," Dal warned. Tay smiled grimly. "I'm not planning to fight, I'm planning to win." As they prepared for departure, Colonel Han arrived with additional supplies. "Our satellite systems will track you as far as they can," he told Tay. "After that, you're on your own." Tay nodded. "If I'm not back in 3 days, assume the worst and prepare Earth's defenses." The Colonel clasped his shoulder. "Find her, Tay, and come back, both of you." As night fell, Tay and Dal entered the small craft. The interior was cramped but functional, with controls that responded to Dal's touch. "Last chance to reconsider," Dal said as the craft hummed to life. "Probability of success very low." Tay secured himself in the strange seat. "Probability doesn't matter. I'm getting Gia back or dying trying." The craft rose silently into the night sky, quickly accelerating beyond what any human vehicle could achieve. As Earth grew smaller below them, Tay kept his focus on what lay ahead: an alien ship, an advanced civilization, and somewhere among them, Gia, waiting to be found. "Hold on," he whispered as stars streaked past the viewport. "I'm coming for you." Alien kidnaps. Human's girlfriend lives to regret it. HFY, the small scout craft sliced through the darkness of space, Earth now just a blue marble behind them. Tay stared ahead at the vastness, his mind focused only on finding Gia. The journey had been smoother than he expected. Dal had explained that the craft bent space rather than simply flying through it, making the trip to the moon take mere hours instead of days. "We approach main vessel soon," Dal said, his slender fingers dancing across the control panel. We must be careful. My return is unexpected. Tay nodded, checking his gear one last time. He'd packed light, his combat knife, some tools, a small medical kit, and the scanner Colonel Han had given him, now modified by Dal to detect human life signs among the aliens. There, Dal pointed ahead. At first, Tay couldn't see anything except stars. Then, as they drew closer to the dark side of the moon, he saw it, a massive structure that seemed to shift and blur at the edges, as if it wasn't entirely solid. The ship was roughly oval-shaped with numerous protrusions, and what looked like lights flickering across its surface. "That's enormous," Tay whispered. "It must be the size of a small city." "Mock science vessel," Dal explained. "Houses 5,000 crew. Research facility, observation post, defense outpost." "And somewhere in there is Gia," Ty said, determination hardening his voice. Dal guided the scout craft toward what appeared to be a small opening in the larger vessel's side. "This is maintenance entry, less monitored than main docks." "Will they question why you're returning?" "Yes. I have prepared story. Scout mission complete. Data collected on human military capabilities." Dal glanced at Tay. "You must hide. Discovery means immediate termination." The scout craft slowed as it approached the opening, which expanded to receive them. Tay quickly concealed himself in a small compartment Dal had shown him earlier. Barely. Large enough for a human, but perfect for staying hidden. Tay felt the craft land with a gentle bump. Dal spoke in a strange, clicking language, presumably communicating with other Mock. Tay held his breath, waiting. After what seemed like an eternity, Dal opened the compartment. "Clear," the alien whispered. "Maintenance crew accepted my explanation. We have small time window to move." Stepping out of the craft into the hangar, Tay got his first real look at alien technology. The walls pulsed with soft light, and what appeared to be living metal flowed in patterns along surfaces. More Mock moved about, all tall, thin beings similar to Dal, though with subtle differences in their grayish skin tones and facial features. "Keep close," Dal instructed. "Your appearance is problematic, but I have solution." He led Tay through a service corridor to a small room filled with equipment. Dal selected what looked like a thin metallic sheet and handed it to Ty. "Perception filter. Will not make you look Mock, but will confuse observers' minds. They will see you, but not. Register you as foreign unless they focus specifically." "Like a blind spot in vision?" Tay asked, draping the lightweight material over himself. It clung to his body and seemed to become almost transparent. "Similar concept," Dal agreed. "Now, we locate your female." They moved through the corridors, Dal leading the way while Tay followed closely. The interior of the ship was unlike anything Tay had imagined. Organic and mechanical elements blended seamlessly. Surfaces responded to the Mock's presence, lights brightening or dimming as they passed. Occasionally they had to pause and press against walls as other Mock walked by, but the perception filter worked. None gave Ty a second glance. "How do we find her?" Tay whispered as they entered a wider corridor with multiple branching paths. Dal consulted a floating display that appeared when he waved his hand. "Research subjects kept in science sector, level 6. They took what appeared to be an elevator, though it moved in multiple directions, not just up and down. As they traveled deeper into the ship, Tay observed more Mock going about tasks. Some wore different coverings that Dal explained indicated their roles: researchers, security, ship operations. "Tell me about your people," Tay said quietly as they waited for a group of Mock to pass. "How long have you been watching Earth?" "Centuries," Dal replied. "Mock observe many developing worlds. Earth classified as potentially problematic due to human tendency for rapid technological advancement, coupled with aggressive behavior patterns." "So you've been studying us, waiting to see if we become a threat?" Dal's large eyes blinked slowly. "Correct. Most species develop technology gradually over many thousands of years. Humans achieve in decades what others take centuries to discover. Concerning pattern, this information struck Tay as both a compliment and a warning. Is that why they took Gia? Because we're advancing too quickly?" Her specific research crossed threshold, molecular computing that bridges organic and digital systems too similar to mock core technology. Security protocol activated. They reached the science sector, where the corridors were wider and more mock moved about, many carrying equipment or studying floating displays. Dal led Tai to a terminal and interfaced with it briefly. Located human female, Research Lab 17. Currently, undergoing cognitive mapping. What's that? Tai asked, dread filling him. Non-invasive process. They study brain patterns, extract knowledge. Dal hesitated. Usually not harmful, but extensive. Take me to her, now. They navigated through more corridors, having to take detours twice to avoid security personnel that Dal said might be more attentive to anomalies. Finally, they reached a section with numbered doorways. Dal approached one marked with unfamiliar symbols. She is inside but guarded. Need distraction, Tai thought quickly. Can you trigger some kind of alarm in another section? Dal considered this. Yes. Could create environmental control malfunction 2 sectors away. Would draw attention. Do it. Dal accessed another terminal, his fingers moving rapidly across the interface. Moments later, alarms sounded in the distance. Several mock hurried past them toward the disturbance. Now, Dal said, pressing his hand to the door panel. The door slid open, revealing a large chamber filled with equipment. In the center, floating in what looked like a column of light, was Gia. Her eyes were closed, her body suspended as if in water. Around her, several displays showed images of what Tai realized were her thoughts. Formulas, diagrams, concepts from her research. One mock remained in the room, focused on monitoring the displays. Tai moved silently behind it, while Dal created a distraction, asking the mock about the alarm. When the alien turned toward Dal, Tai struck quickly, pressing a pressure point on its neck that Dal had shown him. Apparently, mock physiology shared some similarities with humans. The alien slumped to the floor unconscious. Tai rushed to the light column. How do I get her out? Dal hurried to the controls. System designed to maintain subject in unconscious state during extraction. Must deactivate carefully or risk mental damage. While Dal worked the controls, Tai stood close to the column, watching Gia's peaceful face. I'm here, he whispered, though he knew she couldn't hear him. I'm taking you home. The light began to fade, and Gia slowly descended until her feet touched the floor. As the last of the light disappeared, her eyes fluttered open. Confusion, then recognition filled her face. Tai, she whispered, her voice hoarse. Where are we? He caught her as her legs gave way, holding her tight. It's a long story. Can you walk? She nodded shakily. I think so. They've been in my head asking questions, not with words, but I could feel them looking. Dal interrupted urgently. We must move quickly. Security will notice system shutdown. Gia's eyes widened at the sight of Dal. You're like them, but helping us. Tai was persuasive, Dal replied simply. Now, we must reach scout craft before full alert. As they helped Gia toward the door, she grabbed Tai's arm. Wait, they have my research, all of it. They're planning something big. What do you mean? Tai asked. While they were in my mind, I was in theirs too, just a little. Her eyes were clear now, focused. They're not just observing Earth, Tai, they're preparing. My research was the final piece they needed to confirm their decision. Decision for what? Gia's voice dropped to a whisper. To eliminate the threat. To eliminate us. Alien kidnaps human's girlfriend, lives to regret it. HFY Tai's blood ran cold at Gia's words. They're planning to eliminate Earth? Not immediately, Gia said, leaning against him as they moved through the corridor. But soon, they consider us a developing threat that needs to be contained. Before we advance further, Dal looked nervously over his shoulder. This information classified. Very few mock know of containment protocol. How did you access it? While they were extracting information from my mind, I could sense impressions, intentions, Gia explained, her voice growing stronger as they moved. It was like a two-way connection. They didn't realize I could feel their thoughts too. They reached an intersection of corridors. Dal checked a floating display, then gestured to the right. This way, less security. As they hurried through the ship, Tay noticed Gia studying everything with intense interest despite their situation. Even in danger, her scientific mind remained active. The way they've integrated biological and technological systems is fascinating, she whispered. It's exactly what my research was approaching, living technology that responds to thought and intention. That's why they took you, Tay said. Dal told me your work was getting too close to their core technology. Gia nodded. And they were right to be concerned. What I was discovering could eventually lead to technology similar to theirs, maybe even surpass it. Humans tend to innovate quickly once we understand basic principles. A distant alarm began to sound. Dal's expression changed to one of concern. They've discovered your absence. Security protocols activating. How far to your ship? Tay asked, helping Gia move faster. 2 levels up, across central atrium. Difficult path now. They hurried toward another elevator-like transport. As they entered, 2 Mock stepped in behind them. Dal positioned himself to block their view of the humans, but one of the Mock tilted its head, looking directly at Tay and Gia. Non-Mock life. Forms detected, it said in the clicking language that Tay's translator converted. Security breach in progress. Tay moved quickly. Using his military training, he disabled both aliens with swift, precise strikes to pressure points Dal had shown him. The Mock slumped to the floor, but the damage was done. A small device on one of their wrists was flashing rapidly. Alert sent, Dal said grimly. Full security response coming. The transport stopped and they rushed out, now moving at a run. Gia kept pace surprisingly well for someone who had been held captive. I think their examination enhanced my physical state somehow, she explained between breaths. I feel stronger, more aware, like my mind is processing faster. They rounded a corner and found themselves facing a large, open area, the central atrium Dal had mentioned. It was a vast space with multiple levels visible above and below, filled with Mock going about their duties. On the far side, Tay could see what appeared to be docking bays, where smaller craft were attached. There, Dal pointed. Bay 7, my craft. But as they watched, security forces began flooding into the atrium. Tall Mock wearing distinctive black coverings carried what appeared to be weapons. They're sealing all exits, Dal said. Too late. For direct approach, Tay assessed the situation quickly. We need a distraction, something big. Gia's eyes lit up. I might have an idea. During the examination, I learned a lot about how their systems work. The ship's central computer uses a neural network similar to organic brain patterns. If we could create a feedback loop in the security grid, could cause system-wide disruption, Dal finished, understanding immediately, but requires access to control node. Tay spotted a terminal nearby. Would that work? Possible, Dal said, but once we begin, security will trace source immediately. Then, I'll hold them off while you two work, Tay said decisively. They moved to the terminal, trying to appear casual despite the increasing security presence. Dal accessed the system while Gia guided him, pointing to specific symbols in the alien interface. There, she said. That's the security network. If we reroute the sensor protocols through an amplification cycle. As they worked, Tay kept watch. Security forces were methodically searching each level, moving closer to their position. He spotted a group of 4 heading directly toward them. Hurry, he whispered. We have company. Almost, Gia muttered, her fingers now moving across the interface alongside Dal's. There. The lights throughout the atrium flickered. Then alarm systems began activating in random patterns across all levels. Security doors opened and closed automatically. The mock security forces became confused, receiving contradictory alerts from all directions. Let's move, Tay urged, guiding them away from the terminal toward the docking bay. They had made it halfway across the atrium when a commanding voice cut through the chaos. Stop immediately! They turned to find a tall mock standing before them. Unlike the others, this one wore a deep red covering with intricate patterns. Its presence seemed to command respect from the other mock, who immediately moved back. Commander Sun, Dal said, his voice barely audible. Sun's large eyes studied them, focusing first on Dal, then on the humans. Scout Dal, you assist these humans? Explain. Before Dal could respond, Gia stepped forward. He recognized the injustice of kidnapping sentient beings for study without consent, something your civilization seems to have overlooked in its ethical development. The commander's head tilted, apparently surprised by her directness. You are the knowledge bearer, the one whose mind we examined. Sun turned to Tay. And you came for her, traveled through space to an unknown civilization. Interesting. Let us return to Earth, Tay demanded. We've done nothing to threaten your people. Sun made a gesture, and the security forces around them raised their weapons. Your presence here is irrelevant. Your species' development trajectory is the concern. Your female's research accelerates human technological advancement beyond acceptable parameters. Gia crossed her arms. You mean you're afraid we'll catch up to you? Precaution, not fear, Sun corrected. Developing species with aggressive tendencies require management. Your history is filled with violence, conquest. So you plan to eliminate us before we can threaten you? Tay asked, anger rising. That sounds like fear to me. Sun's expression remained impassive. The decision has been made. This encounter only confirms the assessment. Humans are unpredictable, resourceful, dangerous. One of you infiltrated our most secure vessel, compromised our systems. Tay moved, slightly, positioning himself between the commander and Gia. If we're so dangerous, then help us instead of planning to destroy us. Guide us. Previous attempts to guide developing species have failed. They either worship advanced beings as gods or attempt to steal their technology. Containment is the only proven solution. While they talked, Gia was subtly manipulating something on the nearby wall, a control panel Tay hadn't noticed. Her fingers moved with surprising confidence across the alien interface. What if I told you, she said loudly, drawing the commander's attention, that while you were in my mind, I was in your systems too? Sun's eyes narrowed. Impossible. Your neural interface works both ways, Gia continued. I didn't just learn about your ship. I left something behind. A small program, buried in your core systems. A gift from humanity. The commander stepped toward her. What have you done? Created a little insurance policy, Gia said, pressing one final control. Throughout the atrium, the lights flickered again, but this time they stayed dimmed. Warning. Symbols appeared on every display. Containment field disruption, Dal whispered, impressed. She's overriding the safety protocols. Tay looked at Gia with newfound admiration. While appearing helpless in their examination chamber, she had been fighting back in a way they never expected. Your ship is now running a modified version of my molecular computing algorithm, Gia explained calmly to the increasingly agitated commander. It's creating a feedback loop in your power systems that will lead to complete failure in approximately 10 minutes. Sun signaled frantically to other Mock. Isolate core systems. Override. They can't, Gia said. It's already integrated with their bioneural network. The more they try to fight it, the faster it spreads. She stepped closer to the commander. Unless you let us go and promise to leave Earth alone, your entire vessel will shut down. In deep space, that's not a pleasant prospect, is it? For the first time, Tay saw something like uncertainty in the alien commander's posture. Sun studied. Gia intently then looked at Tay. This confirms our assessment, Sun said. Humans are indeed dangerous. Only when provoked, Tay replied. Only when someone threatens those we care about. Around them, the ship's systems continued to deteriorate. Panels were shutting down, and some of the Mock looked distinctly worried. Sun raised a hand and the security forces lowered their weapons. Perhaps reassessment is required. Alien kidnaps human's girlfriend, lives to regret it. HFY. The massive ship trembled as systems continued to fail. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow throughout the atrium, painting everything in deep red shadows. Commander Sun's tall figure stood rigid, large eyes fixed on Gia as the Mock leader. Processed what was happening. 8 minutes before critical failure, Gia announced calmly, though Tay could see the tension in her shoulders. Your life support systems will be the last to go, but without navigation and stabilizers, this ship will drift into deep space. Sun made a series of rapid clicking sounds that Tay's translator couldn't catch, presumably communications with other ship officers. The security forces looked increasingly anxious, shifting their stance as displays around them continued to flicker and die. "Your actions threaten 5,000 mock lives," Sun finally said, voice oddly measured despite the circumstances, "for survival of 2 humans." "And you were planning to threaten billions of human lives," Tay countered, stepping forward, "for the perceived threat we might pose someday." Around them, more systems failed. A loud groaning sound echoed through the ship as gravity briefly fluctuated. Several mock stumbled, unused to the sensation. "We can stop this," Gia offered. "I built in a failsafe, but we need guarantees." Commander Sun's expression was unreadable to human eyes, but Tay noticed the slight ripple of color across its grayish skin, a sign of stress according to Dal's earlier explanations. "What guarantees?" Sun asked. "First, we leave this ship unharmed," Tay stated firmly. "Second, the Mock abandon any plans to contain Earth or interfere with human development." Sun tilted its head. "And if we refuse?" Gia gestured to a nearby display showing rapidly declining power levels. "Then we all drift through space together. I understand Mock can survive in hibernation for years, but eventually..." She let the implication hang in the air. Tay marveled at her composure. The woman he'd known as a brilliant but gentle scientist, now standing toe-to-toe with an alien commander, negotiating for humanity's future. Sun turned to confer with several senior Mock who had gathered nearby. Their rapid-fire language was too complex for the translator to follow completely, but Tay caught fragments: unprecedented, council, protocol violation. While they deliberated, Dal moved closer to Tay and Gia. "This is unexpected," he whispered. "No species has ever successfully challenged Mock containment protocol." "First time for everything," Tay replied, not taking his eyes off the security forces. Gia monitored the ship's systems on a nearby display. 6 minutes, she announced loudly enough for Sun to hear. The commander turned back to them. "You understand removing containment protocol requires Mock High Council approval, beyond my authority." "Then contact them," Tay said. "Communications." "Compromised by your infiltration of our systems," Sun replied, with what might have been irritation. Gia stepped closer to a terminal. "I can restore priority communications, temporarily." Sun hesitated, then nodded. Gia's fingers danced across the alien interface with surprising fluency. Tay watched in amazement. Somehow, during her captivity, she had not only resisted their mental examination, but had learned their technology well enough to manipulate it. "How are you doing this?" he whispered, while Sun was distracted. Gia's lips curved into a slight smile. "Their neural interface gave me access to their knowledge while they accessed mine. They were so focused on what they could take from me, they didn't notice what I was taking from them." She completed the sequence. "Communications restored. Channel. Open to Mock High Council." Sun approached the terminal and began speaking rapidly in the Mock language. On the display, several other Mock appeared, their skin paler, their cover eye. "Torek is more elaborate than Sun's." The commander explained the situation, occasionally gesturing toward the humans. The council members' reactions were visible, even to Tay, expressions of disbelief, anger, and what might have been fear. The discussion grew heated. "They're arguing about precedent," Dal translated quietly. "Some want to destroy the ship rather than negotiate with a developing species." "That would be unwise," Gia called out, loud enough for the council to hear. "I've already transmitted details of our encounter to Earth. If we don't return, humanity will know about the Mock and your intentions. This was a bluff. They had no way to communicate with Earth, but the council couldn't know that." Their discussion became more urgent. 4 minutes, Gia announced. Finally, the council appeared to reach a decision. The central figure spoke directly to Sun, who turned to face the humans. "Mock High Council agrees to temporary suspension of containment protocol regarding Earth," Sun stated, "pending full review of human development trajectory." "Not good enough," Tay said firmly. "We want permanent removal of Earth from your containment list." Sun's skin rippled again. "Impossible without extended evaluation," Then how about this? Gia proposed. A treaty. The Mock agree not to interfere with Earth or human development in any way. In exchange, we provide no information about your existence to the wider human population. You would keep our presence secret? Sun seemed skeptical. Most humans wouldn't. Believe us anyway, Tay said with a shrug, and those who might would want to study you, not destroy you. We're curious by nature. Curious is dangerous, Sun replied. Exactly why you should agree to stay away, Gia said. 3 minutes. The council conferred again briefly before the central figure nodded. Sun turned back to the humans. Agreed. Mock forces will withdraw from Earth's solar system. No interference with human development. In exchange, you maintain silence about our existence. And we want Dal's scout ship to return home, Tay added, with all evidence of your presence erased from it. Sun's eyes narrowed. The scout is a traitor to the Mock. The scout showed compassion, Gia corrected, something your species could learn from humans. After a tense moment, Sun nodded. Agreed. I'll need to hear it from the council directly, Gia insisted. The head council member spoke, the translator converting. The Mock High Council hereby establishes non-interference protocol regarding Earth and human species. All observation posts will be withdrawn. The incident regarding the human knowledge bearer will be erased from official records. Gia nodded, satisfied. System restoration beginning now. Her fingers flew across the interface once more. Gradually, the emergency lights faded as normal illumination returned. Displays flickered back to life, and the low hum of the ship's systems resumed. Your ship will be fully operational in approximately 30 minutes, she told Sun. All critical systems. First, then non-essential functions. The commander studied her with what might have been newfound respect. You created severe disruption, yet prevented permanent damage. Impressive restraint. Unlike some species, we don't destroy what we don't understand, Tay said pointedly. Sun signaled to the security forces, who lowered their weapons completely. You will be escorted to Scout Bay. Departure authorized immediately. As they prepared to leave, Sun approached them once more. Council wishes specimen for study, to better understand human capabilities. Absolutely not, Tay said firmly, stepping in front of Gia. Not her, Sun clarified. Data only. Brain patterns during crisis response. For analysis, Gia considered this. I'll provide a limited neural scan, nothing more. The scan took only minutes, a painless procedure where Gia sat before a device that captured her thought patterns as she solved complex equations. Afterward, they were escorted to Dal's scout craft, where Mock technicians had already prepared it for departure. The Mock will honor treaty, Sun told them as they prepared to board. But remember this, your species develops rapidly, perhaps too rapidly for your own wisdom to keep pace with your technology. That's our challenge to face, Gia replied, not yours to decide. As they boarded the craft, Dal gave one last look at his people before joining the humans. I cannot. Return to Mock society now, he said quietly. You're welcome on Earth, Tay offered. We could use your knowledge. Dal's expression shifted in what might have been the Mock equivalent of a smile. Perhaps. For now, I would like to observe humans more directly, to understand what makes your kind so different. As the scout ship departed the massive vessel, Tay watched through the viewport as the Mock mothership activated some kind of cloaking technology, gradually fading from view. Do you think they'll keep their word? He asked Gia, who was examining the ship's controls with fascination. They will, she said confidently. They're logical beings. We demonstrated that humans are unpredictable and dangerous when threatened, but reasonable when respected. It's in their best interest to avoid conflict. Tay took her hand, still amazed, that he had found her and that they were heading home. What you did back there, how you turned their own technology against them, that was incredible, Gia smiled. I had motivation. The whole time they were examining my mind, I was thinking about you coming for me. I knew you would. As Earth grew larger in their viewport, Dal activated the ship's communication system. I am recording message to Mock Fleet, he explained, warning about human capabilities. Tay and Gia listened as Dal spoke in his native language, the translator converting his words. Attention all Mock vessels. Scout Dal reporting. Avoid the blue planet in the system's habitable zone. The inhabitants number few compared to advanced civilizations, their technology primitive by our standards, but they possess a quality we have not encountered before. Force that drives them to impossible achievements when those they care for are threatened. They call it love, though our language has no equivalent. It makes them unpredictably dangerous. The human who infiltrated our mothership did so with minimal technology and no weapons, yet nearly brought down our entire operation, all for one other human. Imagine what they would do for their entire species. Keep distance, observe only. They are not ready for contact, and we are not ready for them. As the message ended, Tay put his arm around Gia's shoulders. Together, they watched their home planet grow larger, both forever changed by their encounter with beings from beyond the stars, and by the discovery of just how far one human would go to save someone they loved.